So the first ever league phase of this new Champions League just concluded, and honestly, it was a little bit disappointing. On a final day where Man City and PSG could have been eliminated and Brest could have gone through to the top 8, none of that happened, and everyone pretty much finished where you'd expect them to. But regardless, now we have the round of 16. Although not really the round of 16, it's 16 teams, but it's like a playoff to get to the real round of 16. It's a little confusing. So let's go through these not round of 16 matchups and make my predictions. As you all saw in my last video, my predictions so far have been absolutely flawless. Brest
will beat Real Madrid.
Yeah, this time I'm going to try think things out a little more and actually give some solid reasonings for my predictions. So first off, we have Brest versus PSG. Now Brest, despite being the smallest, perkiest team in the competition, punched well above their weight, even sitting in the top 8 for a lot of the season. PSG did the opposite. They were disappointing for the first part of the competition, but as it turned out, PSG actually ended up finishing above Brest. Since both these teams are French, it makes my prediction pretty easy. They've already played each other. And funnily enough, they actually play each other tomorrow, or today, or yesterday, or weeks ago, depending on when I get this edited and uploaded. But yeah, PSG beat them earlier in the season. I think if this were a one-off game, I'd give Brest a chance, but I think since this is a two-legged affair, PSG is just going to have too much for Brest to handle, and they're going to bounce out of their first ever Champions League. I'm going with a 1-1 draw in the first leg, then a 3-0 win for PSG in the second. Which means PSG will go on to play either Liverpool or Barcelona. It would have been really nice if they had just done that draw already. Next up, we have Club Brugge versus Atalanta. Brugge currently sit in second place in the Belgian league, while Atalanta are third in Serie A. While Atalanta are clear favorites here, let's not count Brugge out. They had some impressive results in the league phase. They held their own against Juventus, they beat Sporting, they beat Aston Villa. I don't doubt that they could pick up a win against Atalanta, but again, this is a two-legged tie, and I think Atalanta, with all their attacking firepower, are going to be the kind of team that Brugge really struggle against. I've got Atalanta to more than comfortably win both legs. Let's say 2-1 and 5-1 for a 7-2 aggregate score, which would mean Atalanta would play either Lille or Aston Villa. Either of those would be amazing dark horse matchups. Okay, next is technically the big one, but I'm going to save that one for last. Let's go on to Juventus versus PSV. This feels like the kind of matchup where it's very easy to pick the upset in PSV. PSV have looked more impressive than the lackluster Juventus this season, but something in my gut just tells me that Juventus is gonna do the business and go through on penalties. Let's say 0-0 and 1-1. After all, they are really good at drawing. Now for Sporting versus Dortmund. If Sporting still had Amorim, I'd say that this would be one of the most exciting ties, and I'd even favor Sporting to win. I know they still have Gyökeres, Gonçalves, and all their best players, but under this new manager, there's just a spark missing. Plus, Dortmund have sacked Sahin, so I think come February they'll be in much better form. I've got a draw and then a win for Dortmund, 1-1 and 2-0, so 3-1 on aggregate. Now we come to Celtic versus Bayern Munich. As much as Celtic have impressed beyond their usual expectations in the Champions League, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. I can only see this going one way. I think Celtic get a legendary European night in the first leg in Glasgow, but Bayern at home will just be far too much for them. I'm going 5-2 on aggregate. Now, Feyenoord versus AC Milan, and for me this is the toughest one to call. Milan have been such a coin toss this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they comfortably beat Feyenoord, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Feyenoord comfortably beat them. However, after Feyenoord's latest disastrous showing against Lille, they've gone way down in my expectations. I think if it were PSV versus Milan, this might be a different story, but I'm going Milan to narrowly win both legs, 1-0 and 2-1 for a 3-1 aggregate score. And now Monaco versus Benfica, the most underrated matchup of the lot. Of course, they already played in the league phase, and Benfica beat them pretty convincingly away from home. Though Monaco have brought some great upsets to the table this season, I think Benfica's European experience, plus the knowledge that they already beat Monaco, is going to lead to them just grabbing the win. However, I think this will be the highest scoring tie of the lot. I've got Monaco getting revenge, winning 3-2 in the first leg, then a 4-3 win for Benfica in Lisbon that then goes to penalties, which Benfica win. Okay, finally the matchup we've all been waiting for, Man City versus Real Madrid. Now, they've played each other a lot in the knockout stage recently. In 2020, Man City knocked Real Madrid out in the round of 16. In 2022, Real Madrid had that absolutely insane comeback to beat Man City in the semi-finals. In 2023, it was Man City who went through in the semifinals, and last year it was Real Madrid who went through in the quarterfinals. So this is pretty much the ultimate tiebreaker, and we're getting it out of the way so early. When it comes to a European matchup, it's impossible to count Real Madrid out of anything. Plus, Man City have been in their worst form since Pep arrived so far this season. I still think it'll be an incredibly close tie, but I have Real Madrid winning in Real Madrid fashion. They'll lose 2-1 at the Etihad, then they'll be 1-0 down at the Bernabeu, and then go on to win that tie 3-1 and 4-3 on aggregate. Well, there you have it. Those are my predictions. I did mostly go with the favorites, but to be fair, the favorites do tend to win. Let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with in the comments below, and subscribe to Footballers for more videos like this one.